What it do, YouTube? It's your boy Kato Otaku and welcome to this month's Otakollection. In today's video, I'm going to be covering all of the anime, manga, and figure related items that I picked up over the last month. Before I show you guys all of the manga and figures that I bought in the last month, why don't you guys let me know in the comments what you guys picked up this last month. So I feel like I bought a lot more manga and figures in this last month than I would have usually. And I feel like it comes down to a couple of reasons. The first reason being that I just bought this Billy bookcase behind me, and ever since I bought it, I feel like I've been wanting to fill it up with more and more manga. I actually built risers, so that's a spoiler for the next video. I'm going to be reshelving all of my manga, so if you guys want to see that, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel so you guys don't miss out on that. And the second reason is because it's actually my birth month. So as you guys know, when it's your birthday, you want to treat yourself, you want to buy yourself something nice. And for me this month, it was manga. And I have quite a few volumes to show you guys, as you guys can see by the title. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first volume that I want to show to you guys today is from a very popular series. It needs no introduction, and that's Chainsaw Man Volume 10. I'll be honest with you guys, I haven't read Chainsaw Man since about Volume 5 or 6, so I am a little bit behind. But I do remember it being a lot of fun. It's literally just action throughout the whole manga. I'll definitely be getting back into it pretty soon, but as you guys are gonna see later in this haul, I've been in a romance phase, so I've been reading a lot of romance manga lately. When I do have an itch for an action manga, I'm definitely going to be reading Chainsaw Man next. The next volume that I actually picked up this month is Dorohedoro. So I've heard a lot about Dorohedoro. It's one of those manga that I've just been putting off on collecting because of how long it is. It's about 23 volumes, I think, and I just didn't really want to commit to it yet. Another reason is that I could never find a volume 1 in stores. But I found a volume 1, so you guys know what that means. I'm going to be collecting Dorohedoro now. I'm probably going to be buying a lot more in the next coming months. I'm probably not going to read this volume yet because I know that if I really like the story, I'm going to want to binge it. So I'm going to wait till I get a few more volumes before I give this one a try. But I'm definitely looking forward to reading this soon. The next volume that I have for you guys today is actually Blue Period Volume 6. It actually just dropped yesterday and I picked it up from Barnes & Noble. Blue Period is one of those series that I just loved watching. I loved watching the anime, and I really think that it touches upon a lot of real and raw emotions that people feel when they feel like they're not good enough, they're not talented enough, and that is something that I can greatly relate to. So it's definitely a series that I love to watch, and I can't wait to binge the manga as well. This next volume is actually from one of my favorite series at the moment, being Blood on the Tracks Volume 8. So if you guys have heard anything about Blood on the Tracks, it is a very creepy manga. That's just putting it lightly. There is a lot of weird things that go on in the manga that make you feel uncomfortable. So I definitely encourage you guys in doing your research before you start reading Blood on the Tracks. There's something really weird about this manga where it's uncomfortable, but it makes me want to read it more and see what happens next. It's also a really creepy manga that is diverse from what I usually read. The next volume that I have for you guys is actually one that I just picked up yesterday as well. It is something that is completely out of my comfort zone. It is not a story that I usually choose to read, but I bought it based on how many recommendations I had saw from different manga tubers and on Instagram and everything like that. And that series is Frieren. So I got volume 1 of Frieren. I'm going to give it a try. It's definitely not my cup of tea in terms of the genre that it's in, being fantasy and everything like that. But I definitely wanted to try something different with this one, so I picked up Frieren Volume 1. The next volume I have for you guys is actually from one of my favorite anime out this season, and that's Teasing Master Volume 1. So I've been watching Teasing Master since about last year, I think, when I binged Season 1 and 2. And it was one of my favorite anime to watch at the time because of how wholesome and pure the story was. It's a very feel-good anime, and I just had to get the manga so I could see the differences between the anime and the manga. The next volume I have for you guys is Love Me For Who I Am Volume 1. This is a series that is kind of different from what I expected it to be. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, but it has a lot to do with accepting one another regardless of how other people choose to present themselves, I guess you could say. But I definitely enjoyed reading the first volume. This next series is another one that I just picked up recently, and it's called Imakoi. I've been seeing a lot of people post about this one, and as I said earlier, I've been in a huge romance manga vibe lately. So once I saw this in Barnes, I just had to give it a cop. It's currently serializing, but it's only coming out with a volume every few months. So this is one that I could slowly just collect and enjoy when the volumes come up. The last single volume series that I picked up in the past month is Kaiju Number 8 Volume 2. So I've heard so much good things about Kaiju Number 8. My girlfriend actually read it on the Shonen Jump app and she said it was amazing. I'm currently not reading it yet because I just had the first volume and I just picked up the second volume. So I wanted to give it a couple volumes so that I could read it all at once, because I knew that if I really enjoyed it, I would want to continue reading the story. The next series that I want to share with you guys is actually volume 1 and 4 of Boys Run the Riot. So Boys Run the Riot follows the life of a high schooler who is very into fashion. They're not very accepted at the school that they go to, but they meet someone who shares the same interests as them, who accepts them for who they are, and they decide to start a clothing brand together. So that is the basic premise of Boys Run the Riot. If you guys like fashion, then I highly suggest that you guys read this. This next series might actually be a little bit controversial because I know a lot of people that hate this manga, but I know a lot of people that also enjoy this manga for what it is, and that series is Rent a Girlfriend. So I actually have volumes 8 through 11 here of Rent a Girlfriend, and personally I do enjoy the story. I know that people say it's repetitive, I know people say that the main character sucks and everything like that, but for me personally, I think it's actually a lot better if you don't think too hard about what the series is doing. I think it's just dumb fun, and I know that later on there's stuff that goes on that a lot of people hated and don't agree with, and I'll probably be in the same boat when that comes out. But for now, with where we are in the English releases, I still thoroughly enjoy this series. The next series that I have for you guys is actually volumes 1 and 2 of Love Me, Love Me Not. It is written by the same author who wrote Blue Spring Ride, and that was one of the first romance anime slash manga that I read and watched. And I have mixed feelings about it, which is why I decided to also collect that. So let me show that to you guys as well. So as I said, guys, I started to collect Blue Spring Ride as well. I have volumes 5, 6, 8, 9, 12, and 13 here right now. I don't remember too much about it, but I am very indifferent about it, which is why I started collecting it. And if I don't like it by the end of it, then I could just resell it. But for me, I personally like to read physical manga, which is why I'm starting to collect them. But I am going to give this one another shot. So as soon as I start getting the earlier volumes and I can actually start reading it, then I'll definitely let you guys know how I feel about it. This next series is actually one of my favorite romance manga right now, and that's We Were There, volumes 8, 12, and 13. It is an older series, and it is a lot harder to find these volumes, so I'm just slowly collecting them. I had up to volume 4, and I don't have anything from 4 to 8 right now, so I have not continued the series, but where I left off, I was really excited to see where the series was going to go next, especially because it left on a bit of a cliffhanger for me. So I can't wait to finish collecting this series so that I can just binge the rest of this manga, and hopefully it turns out to be a really good read. Now, I know I just said that We Were There is one of my favorite romance manga right now, but I think at the very top of that list has to be Eyes. Now, I don't think a lot of people know what Eyes is. I haven't seen many people talk about this series at all, but it is one of the best romance manga that I've read, I think. And it's so different from the usual formula that we get from today's romance manga, because this was created back in the early 2000s, I believe. It is actually one that I got from Joey the Anime Man, so shout out to him, because this is an amazing series and I definitely think that it needs a lot more love. I was binging through this series, but unfortunately volume 9 and 15 of this series is wildly out of print. You can only find volumes for $100 or more, and with the job that I'm working right now, I don't have $100 to pay for one single volume of manga. So hopefully I can find a better deal, or I can stumble upon it somewhere in a book off or something, and hopefully I can complete this series soon. Now, continuing on the trend of old romance manga, I actually have volumes 1 through 5 of Skip Beat. So Skip Beat is one of those romance manga that I've heard so many good things about, and my sister got me volume 1 for my birthday, so I decided to pick up a few more volumes because I usually get through romance manga pretty quick. So I wanted to see how I'd feel about it, and hopefully I do enjoy the series once I start reading it. Now, these last few volumes are probably my favorite pickups of this month because it is something that I've been trying to collect for so long in the past year or maybe year and a half, and that series is Goodnight Pun Pun. So I've heard so many people talk about this series. I actually have volumes 4, 6, and volume 7 here. Now, Goodnight Pun Pun is one of those series that I've just been dying to read for as long as I could remember, but I haven't read it just because I haven't had all of the volumes. But now that I do have all of the volumes, I'm going to binge read this one, especially because I'm on spring break right now, and I'm just so excited to see what happens in this series and why it gets all of the love and attention. So that wraps up all of the manga that I picked up this month, so let me show you guys all of the figures that I picked up this month as well. So as I said, I have been reading the Rent a Girlfriend manga, so I had to pick up a figure to match my collection. So I picked up this Chizuru figure, as you guys can see. This is actually one of my purchases from Frankensons. I don't know if it's focusing, so I don't know if you guys can see her. But yeah, it's just a simple figure. She has a little bag and everything. So this is one of the figures that I picked up this month just to match my Rent a Girlfriend collection. The next figure that I picked up this month is actually a very cute Demon Slayer figure. I actually have this Zenitsu figure, as you guys can see. I actually got this figure from a book off, and it was only about like 20 bucks, and I think it was just really cute, and it was very different from a normal figure, so I just had to pick it up. So the next figure that I picked up is actually Shinobu from Demon Slayer. So if you guys can see that, I picked her up at Frankenstein's as well, and I just wanted another Demon Slayer to match with my collection, since Demon Slayer is such a long series, about 23 volumes plus the Water and Flame spin-off manga. It's a pretty long series, so I like to have figures standing in front of the series to represent them. So this is another one that I just picked up for that. And the last Demon Slayer figure that I picked up is actually this Tanjiro one. So this is actually a model kit one. I built this with my girlfriend earlier in the month, and I think he turned out pretty cool. It took a lot of time, but he's pretty cool, right? Now the next figure I picked up is probably my favorite one from this month, and it's the Hiei figure from Yu Yu Hakusho. So Yu Yu Hakusho is one that I haven't watched, but is one that I'm about halfway through the manga of. Hiei is definitely my favorite character, and I think a lot of people can agree that he just feels very cool, very chill. He's actually also on my shirt, so there's just something about him. He just radiates cool energy, and I just really like that about him. And the last figure that I have for you guys is from the Quintessential Quintuplets. It is the best girl from the manga, from the anime. It's not up for discussion. I'm just kidding. Your opinion's your opinion. But for me, this is the best girl, and that is Miku from Quintessential Quintuplets. And I definitely think she's the best girl. My friend Arturo says differently, which he's wrong, but it's okay. But yeah, Miku is one that I picked up from Frankenstein's as well. And when I saw her, I just knew I had to have her for the collection to put her in front of the manga that I own. Now that about wraps up this month's Otakollection. I just want to thank you guys for tuning into the video. Please make sure to leave a like, to subscribe, and to also comment down below what you guys picked up this month. Without further ado, it's your boy Kate Otaku, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.